Good morning, students. In the previous classes, we are discussing about plant tissues. So, what are plant tissues? What are different types are there? The structure, function we had discussed in the previous classes. Now, we begin to another part of the tissue, that is animal tissue. So, animal tissue, as just like that of plant tissue, animal tissue are of different kinds. So, this includes epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, nervous tissue and reproductive tissue. So I am going to write once again. So this is epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, nervous tissue, and other one reproductive tissue. So these are different types of tissues are there, and here we are going to discuss about only the first four: epithelial, connective, muscular, nervous. Okay, these are the four tissues we are going to discuss. So next, reproductive tissue you can study in the next higher classes. So here this is about the main classifications of animal tissues. So let's see the first one, epithelial tissues. So this epithelial tissue, these are thin flat cells, okay, and they are closely and compactly arranged. So these are epithelial tissues are closely and compactly arranged cells. Without intercellular space, means just like that of epidermis, as they are arranged closely, so similarly these epithelial cells, they are also arranged very closely, compactly, and they do not contain any spaces between them. So we can call them intercellular spaces. So these epithelial tissue, where we can found on them, say for example you can take the skin. So the skin, wherever the external organ and the internal organs, they are covered externally, all are of them made up of epithelial tissue. So skin, I said that. Then if you take mouth, inside that you will find buccal cavity. So the inner surface of the mouth, tongue, the surface of the tongue, the esophagus, the food pipe, so and small intestine, large intestine, so kidney tubules. So these are all made up of epithelial tissue, means they form external covering. So this is about the epithelial tissue, and these where they are located on that. So these epithelial tissue, they are situated on basement membrane. So epithelial tissue are situated on basement membrane. So just like that of while for example you take that while flooring, what happens, we will just put up cement, over that we will put tiles, right? So just think like that, the cement, it is act like a basement membrane. So that basement membrane that hold the upper layer just like tiles. So actually this basement membrane is nothing but the connective tissue. So that is we are going to study in the coming classes. Okay, then next one, these epithelial tissues, they do not have direct blood supply. They do not have direct blood supply. Means These, for example, consider this is the basement membrane, over that epithelial tissues are located, okay, and this epithelial tissue does not contain any blood supply, but the basement membrane, it has a blood supply. So for example, while playing something else or while going, if any scratches takes place on the skin, so only the skin will rupture, but you will not see the blood. If the wound is very deep, then only you will observe the blood stains or the blood will start bleeding. So this is because they do not contain any kind of vascular supply, that is blood supply. So these are things that we have to these are the general characteristics of epithelial tissue. So these epithelial tissue, they are located in different organs. So in different organs they have different function. So based on that we have different types of epithelial tissue. So let's see that what are the different types of epithelial tissue. So in this we will categorize, it is squamous epithelium, columnar, cuboidal, ciliated, glandular and stratified. So I am going to write them. So types of epithelial tissue. So this includes squamous epithelial tissue. I am going to write short form of epithelial tissue in the form of ET, epithelial tissue. Columnar epithelial tissue, cuboidal epithelial tissue, ciliated epithelial tissue, glandular epithelial tissue, then stratified epithelial tissue. So these are the different types of epithelial tissue. So now we are going to discuss about the first one, squamous epithelial tissue. So squamous epithelial tissue, it is mainly located in the mouth. So here in the surface of the mouth, esophagus, that is the food pipe, nose, so inner surface of the nose, and alveoli, so in the lungs. So these are the regions where these squamous epithelium, they are located. So here if you observe that the cells are closely compactly arranged and they do not contain any intracellular spaces, and here they have a large central nucleus with plenty of cytoplasm, and here you see that the basement, so this is the upper surface is the epithelial tissue and they form just like a thin surface, just like a sheet. You see that if you see the floor, it just look like a sheet, thin sheet. Similarly, the epithelial tissue, that is the squamous epithelium, they form a thin sheet over the surface. You know, if you keep something and just put a paper or a glass sheet, whatever, with a design, different design, just similar to like that of the epithelial tissue, just it form like a thin sheet or the surface. And here these epithelial tissue, they are rest on the basement membrane, nothing but it is a connective tissue. So this provide protection to the internal organs of the parts of the body. This is about a squamous epithelium. So now you can see this very clearly. These are the cells. See that they are closely, compactly arranged and they are rest on the basement membrane. So this yellow color part is green. This is the basement membrane. Over that you will find epithelial cells. Next one, cuboidal. See, cuboidal epithelial tissue, these are mainly located in glands, salivary gland, like sweat glands, etc. Means these cuboidal cells, they provide mechanical strength to the body. the mechanical strength, and also they are involved in secretion of the product. Say for example, salivary gland, they are located in the mouth, they start producing saliva, so it is just like act as a secretory product. Sweat gland, we are sweaty, we will sweat in the summer season more, right? So why we have to sweat? With the whatever the substance, waste substances or excess of water that has to be go out of the body, so during that time we will sweat more. So means just the sweat glands, they remove the waste substances. So here the sweat glands, salivary glands, they are made up of cuboidal gland. If you see that, so the width and the height of the cells, they are almost equal in nature, and they contain again large central nucleus and plenty of the cytoplasm. Again they are situated on basement membrane. So this is about the cuboidal epithelium. You see that these are the different structures of cuboidal epithelium. I think you can see very clearly a large central nucleus. So then almost all they have the same size, that is in length and width. Now coming to columnar. So just these columnar cells, they located in the lining of the stomach, small intestine, large intestine. See that why they are mainly located in small intestine, stomach, large intestine means their main role is helps in absorption. See, look at here, whatever they eat the food, it will be absorbed. Some of the food will be absorbed in the stomach, some will be in the small intestine and large intestine. That's why the role of these columnar epithelium is mainly involved in absorption of food substances. So if you look at the cells, so here these are long, tall, they are pillar-like structure, and they contain a nucleus, a large nucleus, and they are not at the center. This is the main characteristics. You can easily classify cuboidal and columnar. In the columnar, you see the nucleus at the basement membrane, but in the cuboidal, so it will be in the center. So that is the main difference between cuboidal and columnar epithelium. Okay, so this is about the columnar epithelium. You see that they are always towards the basement membrane, and they are very tall and pillar-like structures. Ciliated. So some of the columnar and cuboidal epithelium, if they possess hair-like projections, those are called as ciliated epithelial tissue. You see that here these are epithelial tissue, some of them they contain hair-like structure. So these are the hair-like structure, and these are called as cilia. These are called as cilia. Then what is the role of these cilia? So these cilia mainly located in again trachea, that is the respiratory system, and bronchi, kidney tubules, so in the kidney. So these are the some regions where these ciliated epithelial tissue is located. So the main role of this cilia epithelium is they helps in the movement of the substances from one region to another region. Say for example, so we will inhale the air, oxygen, and we release carbon dioxide. So while inhaling, sometimes we will inhale dust particles also. So the dust particle has to come outside. Then how it will come outside? They has to be move upward. So this action is performed by the ciliated epithelium. So they start send the particles upward, so that sometimes if any cough or some sputum, kapha, if it is come outside, it contains some dust particle, and again if contain any some bacteria, it will become outside. So this is the main role of ciliated epithelial tissues. Okay. Then next one, glandular epithelium. So here some of the epithelial tissue, they arrange themselves and they form glands just in order to secrete some secretion. So such epithelial tissues are called as glandular epithelium. You see that they arrange themselves and they start secreting something. So they either it may be hormones, enzymes, proteins, whatever they may secrete. So those cells which secrete something, they are called as the glandular epithelial tissue. So here this is the gland, and over the gland it has a some epithelial tissues are there. Okay, this is the channel and this is called as duct. This is the gland and this is the duct. So depending upon whether this duct is located or not, whether it is a present or not, based on that these glands again further classified into two types. It is exocrine glands and endocrine glands. Exocrine glands means here those glands which have the duct. They are called as exocrine glands. And those glands which do not contain this portion, that is the duct, it is called as endocrine glands. Say for example, salivary glands. Example, salivary glands. Salivary glands, they have a duct, through that they release saliva into mouth. Endocrine glands, say for example, pituitary gland. Pituitary gland, this is an endocrine gland. So you are going to study about endocrine glands in the 10th standards in detail. Okay, so this is about glandular epithelium. So we'll see some different next one, stratified epithelium. So stratified epithelium, here the cells are arranged layer by layer. See for example skin. So we say that there are many layers are there, 5 to 6, 7 layers are there. So that's why they are like means again just to provide protection. So where there is actually wear and tear takes place. Wear and tear means, so say for example while moving sometimes we will rub our hand or by mistake we will scratch us with that. In that cases if it is only a single layer it will tear out. So that's why, and continuously will while eating the food, it sometimes it may be a hard, it may be a soft, so that it has to be continuous interact with the surface. Again the tongue, it is also made up of stratified epithelium. Our skin is made up of stratified epithelium. So here the cells are arranged one above another one, means the bottom of the layers they are coming from the connective tissues, and as they move up and up they form they take the flat shape. So this is what actually called as stratified epithelium. So in generally the main role of this epithelial tissue is to provide protection, secretion and also absorption. It is the main role of this epithelial tissues. So next, second type of tissue is connective tissue. Connective tissue, here as the name suggested that it connects two different parts. Say for example I said that the skin is protected layer, so it has to be attached on a particular layer. So how it is attached to the muscles? So it attached to the muscles with the help of connective tissue. This connective tissue, it acts as a cementing substances which hold the two substances together, which helps in binding of the substances. That's why it is called as connective tissue. So connective tissue, either it in the form of a jelly-like substance, or it may be hard, or it may be fluid, or it may be flexible. So connective tissue that contains a matrix. It is nothing but a jelly-like substance. Okay, the jelly-like substance, either it may be in the form of a fluid. Say for example you take blood contains different types of the blood cells, right? So the liquid part is actually connective tissue. Then it may be a hard. For example you take a bone is very hard in nature, and and this is because of presence of some minerals, because that's why the matrix is very hard in nature, in that cells are embedded. And flexible, say cartilages. Cartilages is very flexible. See that the ear, it is made up of cartilage. You can bend, it is very flexible, and tip of the nose also it's very flexible. So these connective tissue, they mainly contain a matrix. In the matrix, the cells are embedded. Okay, so this matrix, either it may be a fluid, or it may be a hard, or it may be a flexible in nature. So let's see that depending upon the location and these connective tissue, we'll see different types of tissues in the body. So first one, areolar connective tissue. So areolar connective tissue, as this tissue mainly located in the wherever empty organs are there. It's just like a packing substances. So wherever empty spaces are there, in that it will be located, and they start helps in repairing and also provide some protection. So here these areolar connective tissue, they contain different types of cells. They contain macrophages, they contains adipose cells and lymphocytes, so and also some fibers. So thin and thick fibers, white fiber, you can call it as white fibers, as well as yellow fibers. So these fibers, they act as a binding material. Okay, and because of these cells like fibroblast, macrophages, plasma cells, they mainly helps in engulfing, they engulf the bacteria or the foreign particles which enter inside the body. So this is about the areolar connective tissue. So this is how you exactly look like if you take the cross section of that. Next type of adipose tissue. Adipose tissue, these are also connective tissue. So here what you are looking like, the yellow color ball, just like laddu. So these ball-like structure, they are nothing but fat cells. So they store mainly fat. So that's why they are very large in cell. Okay. So these are the adipose tissue. So adipose tissue, they mainly situated just below the skin. That's why sometimes you might observe that those are having very thin, they may not get, they will get easily cold. Okay, they will shivering. But some those having very hefty fat, so they don't usually have the cold. They don't sense cold or hot, because this will prevent, they will prevent loss of temperature from the body. And even in case of fishes, mainly dolphins, just below the skin you'll find a thick layer of this adipose tissue. Again, it prevents loss of heat from the body. So this is about adipose tissues. See, this is how they are packed inside the body. Then another one, tendons and ligaments. So here, these are the tendons, these are the connective tissue, they connect muscles to the bones. So these are the tissue, they connect muscles to the bones. So you see that, for example, here, the way the muscles are connected to the bones, at that particular regions you can find the tendons. So if the tendons here tear out, so we cannot move our body parts. You see, look at here, this is the muscle and tendons. So if you want to lift something, if you want to hold something, see this, if there is no connection between the muscles and the bone, it is very difficult to hold the substances. That's why in this way they help in movement of the parts. Then coming to ligaments. Ligaments, these are the connective tissue, they connect two different bones. Say for example, this is one part of the bone, this is one part of the bone. Okay, so these two bones, they are connected with the help of ligament, just like a hook. They connected both the bones. See, these are the ligaments, they are connected two different bones. If the ligament is cut down, it is very difficult to move the body parts. Say for example, in this particular pose, say for example, here usually is very thin. If this part is cut down, by accident or somewhere else, then we cannot move a finger. We cannot move our finger properly because there is no connection at all. So this is about the ligaments. You see that just like a rod, they hold the two bones together. Depending upon the different position, they have different names. Just think that these are ligaments, nothing but these are the connective tissue. They mainly hold the two bones together. Next one, cartilage. So cartilages, they mainly located in the tip or edges of the bone. They mainly helps in flexibility. So here the cells are located inside the cartilages, and these cartilages, they provide soft surface of the bone, and they mainly helps in flexible nature. So you look at here, between the two bones, you can see some cartilages, so that the bones, they can move very easily. So this is about the cartilages. Look at here, you can see the cartilage. Next one, bone. So bones, we know that bones are very hard in nature, and these bones, they contain bone cells. They are called as osteocytes. They are called as osteocytes. So here the matrix, it is very hard in nature. This hard in nature because of presence of calcium and phosphorus. Because of presence of calcium and phosphorus, the matrix, it is very hard in nature. And these matrix, they here see the whatever the yellow color part, they are the matrix. So in that the cells are arranged. Here these matrix are arranged in the form of ring-like structures, and these are called as canaliculi. So it's just your extra information. So this ring-like structure, they are called canaliculi. In that, see this eye-like structure, they are nothing but bone cells. So these bone cells, they are interconnected to one another one. So let's see how they are interconnected. I'll show that. Consider so this is one bone cell, this is another bone cell. So they have an interconnection with each other. Okay. So in this way, the bone cells are located, and as the bone is hard because of the presence of the calcium and phosphorus. So you know, look at here. This is the bone cell. These finger-like, they have an empty space called lacuna. In that you will find a nucleus called osteocytes. Okay. Then here you see that how they are ring-like structure, they have been arranged inside that. And in the bone tissue, so bone tissue, you see that at the center you will find blood vessels. So both arteries and veins, that is carry pure blood as well as impure blood, those are located inside the bone tissue. So along with the bone tissue, you will find some areolar connective tissues also. This bone tissue, they start producing some blood cells, say RBC, WBC and white platelets. So all they are secreted in the bone tissue. It is called bone marrow. So this is how the ring-like structure, they are the canaliculi. In that the osteocytes you can find, they are interconnected. So in the center you will find the blood vessels and also the nerves. So here in that you will find bone marrow. So next one is blood. So blood is a liquid part of the connective tissue, and this blood contains different types of cells as well as liquid part. The liquid part of the blood is called as plasma. Plasma is the liquid part of the blood. So here this plasma contain mainly hormones, proteins, enzymes, salt and waste substances. So these are the things they are present in the plasma. So here plasma acts as a connective tissue. In the plasma you will find different types of the cells. So this includes red blood cells. So in short form it is called as RBC. White blood cells, it is in short form it's called WBC, and platelets. Okay, so these are the different types of blood cells we can find in the blood. So red blood cells, they are red in color because of the presence of a pigment is called as hemoglobin. Presence of hemoglobin, it is red in color. Hemoglobin, it is a protein. So here this hemoglobin, they carry the oxygen and carbon dioxide in the body. They take oxygen from the lungs and carry different part of the body, and from the different cells, so they collect the carbon dioxide and again it will carry, and finally they transport it to lungs where it will expel outside, means it will go outside. So this is the role of hemoglobin. Then white blood cells. So white blood cells, they are white in color because they do not contain any pigment. That's why they are called as white blood cells. So these white blood cells, they mainly help to fight against diseases. Last one, platelets. The platelets, these are the small fragmented cells. They mainly helps in clotting of the blood. You might observe that if any wound occurs after within 1 minute or 2 minutes, the blood they start clotting. So this clotting is mainly takes place with the help of these platelets. So this is about the blood. So you see some of the blood cells, you can see here. While coming to white blood cells, depending upon type of nucleus, we have different types of WBCs are there. So they may include neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, monocytes and lymphocytes. So mainly here the monocytes and lymphocytes, they mainly involved in fighting against diseases. So these are WBCs and RBCs. You can see these are the RBC and these are the white WBCs. Next, after discussing about the connective tissue, let's move on to another type of tissue, that is muscular tissue. Here muscular tissue, it is made up of muscle cells. So muscle cells, here they contain some proteins. These are called as contractile proteins. With the help of contractile proteins, they undergoes contraction and relaxation. So here the muscle cell is called as muscle fibers. Muscle fibers, and they have large central nucleus. So these muscle tissue, they have high supply of blood cells, blood tissues. See, depending upon the location and function, the muscles classified into 3 different categories. So this includes skeletal muscles, smooth muscles and cardiac muscles. So we'll discuss one by one. First one, striated muscles, or it is also called skeletal muscles. Say first one, striated skeletal, or it is also called as voluntary muscles. striated skeletal voluntary muscle. So why, let's see that what is structure of this. If you see the skeleton, it is called skeletal muscles because these muscles they attach to the bones, skeleton, hence it is called as skeletal muscles, and the action of these muscles they are under our control, hence they are called as voluntary muscles. Say for example, so here I can see, I can look at my neck position. So I can stretch my muscles at the neck position, right? So I can stretch, I can move, I can make a move the muscles in the hand. So because these action, the movement of these muscles, it is under my control. Hence they are called as voluntary muscles. Now here it is called as striated muscles. Why it is called striated muscle? Here if you see the muscle cell, it is called a muscle fiber. If you observe that it contains alternative light and dark band. See, look at here, this is the dark band and the middle is called as light band. As it contains both light and dark band, hence it is called as striated muscles. See, look at here, now you can see in this very clearly. Here these are the dark one is the dark band and in between you can see the light band, and it contains nucleus. Usually the nucleus here it is located in the periphery. So here if you observe that these are unbranched, these are the unbranched. Now second type is that, see muscle fiber, see very clear structure, you can see that this is the nucleus located at the periphery and these are the muscle fibers. See, this is how the actual arrangement of muscles in our body. Look at here, so they take the part of the muscle, in that how the muscle cells are arranged. This is another diagram of that. See the enlarged portion of that. Next, coming to second type of muscles is second type is unstriated, smooth or involuntary muscles. Okay, so let's see that why it is called smooth and involuntary. So here, as like that of striated, it does not contain any light and dark band. That's why it is called as smooth muscle. Involuntary, the action of these muscles are not under our control, hence it is called as involuntary muscles. And again, unstriated does not contain any light and dark band. So see that, for example, while eating the food, after eating that, the food will go pass through the esophagus. So here the muscles, it is not under our control. Like that, whatever the alimentary canal, that is from mouth to the anus, different parts. So what are the muscles? They having the smooth muscles. So they undergoes their own contraction and relaxation. We cannot control. Hence it is called as involuntary muscles. So here the muscle cell, they contain large central nucleus and plenty of cytoplasm. Again they are unbranched. Next, coming to last one, cardiac muscles. So cardiac muscles, it is located on the heart of the muscle. Then this cardiac muscle, they shows both the properties of striated and unstriated muscles. See like that, here it is a branch and it contains light and dark branches, dark band just like that of striated muscles. And unlike smooth muscles, the function of this cannot be controlled. Like that, it shows properties of both striated as well as unstriated muscles. And here one more characteristic feature of this cardiac muscles is it contains intercalated disc. So by that we can easily classify striated and cardiac muscles. So these are the dark bands, these are called intercalated disc. With the help of that we can easily make difference between striated and cardiac muscles. So these are the different types of muscular tissue. Then last one is nervous tissue. So you can see one more diagram of that. So these are the intercalated discs. So nervous tissue mainly consisting of nerves, brain and spinal cord. So here in this, now we are going to discuss about only the structure of a nerve cell. A nerve cell mainly consists of three parts. Cyton or cell body, axon, dendrites, axon. So cyton or cell body. If you look at here, the large portion is the cell body, or it is also called as cyton. So in the cyton you can find a large central nucleus, and the cyton possesses some finger-like projection. These are called as dendrites. So cyton extends and form a long filament. It is called as axon. So axon, it have a nerve endings. These are called as nerve endings. So these dendrites and axon, they are interconnected with another nerve cell. So here this axon, again they contain some span cells. They mainly help in transportation of signals. So this is about the structure of a typical nerve cell. A nerve cell, it is also called as neuron. So this is about the different types of animal tissue present in the body. So whatever we had discussed in the class, so we discussed mainly 4 different types of tissues: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue. In the epithelial tissue we had discussed about squamous, epithelium, columnar, cuboidal, ciliated, glandular, stratified epithelial tissue. In connective tissue, I discussed about areolar, connective tissue, adipose tissue, tendons, ligament, cartilage and bone and blood. Then muscular tissues, we have discussed 3 types of muscles: striated, unstriated and cardiac muscles. Finally nerve tissue. In the nerve tissue we have discussed about a nerve cell. So this is about the animal tissue in the body, and this completes the topic tissues. So in the next class we will discuss about new topic. Thank you.